Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking everything going on in the world of sports. Join in the conversation on social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go.
Instead of looking deep inside, every word I have to say, keep it simple.
Welcome to an all-new edition of the ODPH Podcast. What is happening, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us this week. My name is Ken M. Joining me in studio, as always, you know him. He's the co-host. He's the statistician to the stars. He's the man of 1,008 aliases. His name is Padawan J.
Let me talk to you.
And boy, we have a lot to talk about.
Oh, boy.
This is a fusion edition of the show, where if you're new to the show, we talk all the parlay of topics we usually cover between the sports and entertainment show. We're going to talk a little regular sports. We're going to talk pro wrestling. We're going to talk movies, TV, comics, and more. And then after the show, because there's a lot to go over, where does everybody go, Pat?
ODPHpodcast.com.
Right on. Swing out over the website. Check out all the social media links. Join in the conversations on there, because we definitely like to interact with everybody there. And we're on every single platform I could think of. So, you know what? If we're not there, hit us up. Let us know. We'll see why we're not there. Also, you can check out the TeePublic Store link. You can check out the blogs. You can check out the directory. We're Pad. How many providers are we on?
We are on 888,264.
And your source?
Trust me, bro.
So wherever you listen to the ODPH on, first and foremost, thank you for checking us out. Leave us a review. It definitely helps the algorithm of the show. We also have a great classified section, which has friends of the show, such as 3FM Podcast, Dragon Master Games, Nerd Initiative, and many more. And last but certainly not least, we have an amazing music section featuring such musicians as Brian Wolf and the Howlers, who has a new album out.
I heard.
Or some rumor of this. We have to get in touch with Brian and kind of get the skinny of what's going on here. But if you're in the Austin, Texas area, go check him out, because he's playing all over the place down there.
So I heard some of the songs are on radio down there.
Yeah, that's what we're hearing. So who knows? Maybe, just maybe, we'll have some new music to play here at the ODPH very, very shortly. Also featured on the music section, we got Second Suitor. They're always great. Tom Jolu, doing big things right now. If you're not following Tom, I don't know what you're doing. You got to step that game up. Big things are happening if you follow his newsletter, and that's all I'm going to tease about that. So go sign up for it. We got the link there, too. Floodland, Shout at the Robots. Basically, it's anything and everything that is the ODPH. You can find it at odphpodcast.com. And definitely, remember, if you're still using hashtags on social media, why not use the hashtag ODPHpod? Kicking off the fusion edition of the show, we have to pull the Band-Aid off. We have to address the elephant in the room.
Oh, boy.
It is less than 24 hours removed from Game 4 of the NBA Eastern Conference Finals, but we are going to be breaking down the NBA playoffs and where everybody is standing, because after 4, there's only going to be 2 teams left to go to the finals. So, Pad, where do you want to go?
Why don't we really twist a knife in you and start out in the Western Conference, where you've got the number 1 seeded Oklahoma City Thunder taking on the number 6 Minnesota Timberwolves, where currently the Oklahoma City Thunder are leading by a 3-1 score.
So this series has not gone exactly the way I thought it would.
No.
I thought Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, and Julius Randle would really give some problems to Oklahoma City.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that maybe, just maybe, they would be able to steal this and push it to 7.
Right.
Because, honestly, they played very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
Game 1 was not the case. And SGA and company really showed up and showed out.
Mm-hmm.
Game 2 was a lot better, but not enough in retrospect in comparison of scores.
Right.
Game 3, this was the T-Wolves we were all expecting. Maybe not the 40-point blowout that we had.
Right.
But enough. And then a heartbreaker for Game 4, where the Thunder won by 2.
Mm-hmm.
So, Pad, what has been your biggest takeaway from this series?
I think just how wrong I was, at least at this point, with the Minnesota Timberwolves. I was a lot like you. I figured with the experience with Minnesota, while finally taking that next step into the NBA Finals, the Oklahoma City Thunder still on the come up, still a little young, a little. Oh, I don't want to say unseasoned, but they're still relatively new, I would say. I realize they've got the MVP, as was announced last week in SGA. But that notwithstanding, I just figured Minnesota would step up. They'd show everybody, hey, last year was a fluke. I know everybody picked us to win it, and we didn't necessarily deliver. This is our year. And it's kind of gone in the opposite direction of that.
Well, the big takeaway I have is Game 4 was a game that Minnesota should have stolen. Mm-hmm. And they still can try pulling off something, but obviously being down 3-1, I think the chances of winning this series are very, very slim.
Right.
Oklahoma City is just playing too well. Mm-hmm. But I want to really focus in on Game 4. Now, this is the one they lost 128 to 126.
Right.
If you look at Anthony Edwards' stat line, it was the worst possible time for him to have a bad game.
Right.
Going 5 for 13 and having only 16 points.
Yeah, that's not good. 1 for 7 from the 3-point line. 5 for 7 from the free throw line, which, hey, that's not bad. But then total 4 rebounds, 6 assists, and 5 turnovers. Yikes.
Yeah. Like we say, the worst possible time to have the worst game of his playoffs.
Yeah.
Even game 1, as bad as that was, still, he showed up and being the true power source of this team. Mm-hmm. When he's clicking, everybody else usually picks up. Which Jalen McDaniels did what he could with 22 points.
Right.
Dante DiVincenzo got 21 off the bench. Like, they had their team show up and really give it all. But if Ant-Man doesn't have that bad game, they steal this as a 2-2 series. And then who knows what happens in Game 5.
I mean, it doesn't help on the other side for if you're a Minnesota fan. SGA, 40. Chet Holmgren, 21. Jalen Williams, 34.
Well, the one thing is
Good Lord.
we know that SGA is going to drop that 40.
Oh, of course.
Like, we know he's going to put up. Obviously, the reigning MVP.
Doesn't win that on a fluke.
Right. He definitely showed up. Mm-hmm. So Shea Gilgeous-Alexander definitely did what he needed to. But the big takeaway I had here is Jalen Williams dropped 34 to help him. Mm-hmm. We haven't really seen that per se in this playoff series. Mm-hmm. Like, we've seen glimpses.
Yeah.
But we haven't. Same thing with Chet Holmgren with, 21?
21, yeah.
So when he's finally getting some help, yeah, they're showing up and doing well.
Right.
But, I mean, if you take a look at, like, the previous games, Game 1, Williams had 19, Holmgren had 15, and granted, they won big. And then for Game 2, it was kind of more of the same sense. I don't even want to get into Game 3 because Game 3 doesn't matter. They got blown up by 40.
Game 3 is an anomaly.
Yep. But even Game 2, this is where Williams had 26, Holmgren had 22. He complimented SGA's 38. So when the team is clicking, they're doing well. But on the flip side, Minnesota needed to have a counterpunch for him, and they didn't. Julius Randle has struggled in the series.
Right.
I don't think he's played great. I mean, obviously, Game 2, 6 points. Not exactly something you want to write home about. Game 4, where you know Edwards is struggling. You got to step up and provide 5 points on 28 minutes, 1 for 7 from field goal percentage. And obviously, watching him play in New York, I know that he kind of goes in waves like this.
Yeah.
It's not to say he's a bad player, because I will not say that. But in these situations, when your star is struggling,
Yeah.
you really got to get some help. Now, granted, McDaniel stepping up is huge.
Yeah.
And then off the bench, DiVincenzo and Nikhil Alexander-Walker dropping 23. Like, that helps.
Yeah.
But for Randall, I mean, it's a tough break, but it's a heartbreaker right there because that game was in their grasp.
Right.
And now they have to head back to Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
That is not going to be a very good environment for them to come into.
It's very loud.
I think that series is done tonight.
Could be.
As we record, I think that they're going to have that big of a struggle against them.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say they're going to get blown out, but I think this is going to be within 6. And I think Oklahoma City punches their ticket to the finals.
Here's what I was looking at the box score for Game 3. Here's what's and I said this game's an anomaly. I can't remember. I think the last time I can't remember the last time I've seen this in a box score for the NBA, where I'm looking at NBA.com box score, and all the way to the end of the box where they've got the plus minus, or basically how many points swung in that direction when that player was on the floor. Plus, good. Negative, bad, obviously. Every single player for the Oklahoma City Thunder in this box score, with the exception of Ousmane Dieng and Dylan Jones, was in the negative.
Ooh.
Jalen Williams, minus 31. Isaiah Hartenstein, minus 31. Luguentz Dort, minus 22. Shea Gildress-Alexander, minus 32. Carson Wallace, minus 30. The only reason Dylan Jones and Ousmane Dieng are in the positive, well, Jones had 2 and Ousmane had 0. Good Lord, I've never seen that.
Well, like we say, Minnesota came out swinging that night, and they knocked them out. But that's how they should be playing.
Yeah.
They knew the pressure of if they went down 3-0, it's done. There's no chance they're going to run back 4 on them.
Yeah.
So now that's where the big difficult task is for them. I just don't think they do it. I think that game was so draining that there's nothing left in the tank. And if Minnesota can pull it off, hey, more power to them. I just don't see it happening. As much as it pains me to say it about my beloved New York Knicks.
Oh, yikes.
Because they're now down 3-1 to Indiana. And I have a lot of things to say about this. Pat, I will let you go first before I go ranting.
Yeah. So currently the Indiana Pacers, the 4 seed, are up on the 3 seeded New York Knicks by 3-1. Game 1 went to the Indiana Pacers in overtime, 138-135. Game 2 went to the Indiana Pacers, 114-109. Knicks bounced back in Game 3, however, with a 106-100 victory. And then in Game 4, which was last night as we record, Indiana came out with the victory by the final score of 130-121. I'm unbiased in this, and shocking as that may sound, I like the NBA. I can watch the NBA. If I have to see a team do well, I wouldn't mind to see the Knicks do well. I don't actively root for them. You don't believe me? I will send you my preferences on,
that's true.
On the ESPN app for my favorite teams. The Knicks aren't there. I'll even send you the one for my Apple Sports one because I have an iPhone. Knicks aren't on there either. So I would like to see the Knicks do well just because, hey, I'm in New York. I'm a New Yorker. So, it is what it is. I'm a little surprised just because I expected this to be a little bit more closer than it's been. And obviously, Game 1, close, 3-point victory for the Pacers. But it just seems like the Pacers have more control. They have a better handle on things. And it just seems like every team has a bad game. Every team has, an off night. You can try and tell me otherwise. Listen, not everybody's the 1992 Dream Team or the Redeem Team that's blowing out teams by 45. Every team in the NBA has a bad game. And I think that's what Game 3 was for the Pacers, that, hey, you know what? It was a bad night. Things went the Knicks' way. So I'm a little surprised. I never, in any sense or possibility, was like, oh, yeah, Knicks in 4. Knicks in 4. I never considered it the same NBA 2K on easy, with sliders turned up or whatever in the Knicks' favor. I figured this would go away. But in all honesty, unless Thibodeau gets his you-know-what together, this is over on Thursday. I don't care it's in the Garden. I don't care that crowd's going to be raucous. Indiana, I feel like, has such a stranglehold on this series that there's very little the Knicks can do to pull it out.
Okay.
The thoughts, views, and opinions are that of Ken M. Do not necessarily reflect that of the ODPH or Nerd Initiative. Listener discretion is advised.
So this game can really be, or this series can really be summed up by a few key plays. One is Game 1, where the Knicks had a 17-point lead late in the fourth quarter, and decided to take the foot off the gas and try coasting with their defense. Their defense, which is the one that beat Boston and knocked them out. Their defense, which got them that 17-point lead when they were playing real physical basketball in New York. The crowd energy was crazy. They were allowing, though, at those last moments for people to get open and get some shots. Now, am I going to say there was some bad officiating? Yes, on both sides.
When is there not?
But I will say there was an egregious non-call involving a goaltending, which would have iced the game in overtime. And prior to that, there was a very awkward foul challenge that went in favor of the Pacers when it should have been a lights-out, open and shut case for the Knicks, which was mentioned by the announcers. Even when Reggie Miller is saying why is it
Mr. Pacer himself.
Yeah. That's a problem.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
And that's what allowed Halliburton to get that last shot off.
Robo refs, calling for it now.
Well, you almost think you need it at this stage because Halliburton hits the luckiest bounce shot in history. And the fact that he was so arrogant.
Luckier than Kawhi's?
Oh, that bounce, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, if you have not seen that shot
No, I haven't.
that knocked him into game 4, that shot, he throws it up. It hits the back of the rim, goes straight up, and you can't tell if it's going to go over the backboard or down.
Oh, wow.
And it comes straight through the hoop.
Oh, wow.
And then he immediately does the Reggie Miller choke sign.
Okay, that I did see.
That was the shot that he did it.
That I did see. Okay, I didn't
Yeah.
see what preceded that, but I did see that photo. I'm like, ooh, that's a choice.
Oh, it was a choice. And it was a dumb choice because the minute he does this, this is what should have riled up the Knicks and had them go crazy. And they didn't. And for whatever reason, they decided to just kind of brush it off and still go coasting.
Yeah.
And they allowed this team to get back in it. Now, granted, there was foul trouble, sure. But when they're pushing the pace and they really were setting the tone, this is when the Knicks needed to slow things down. Now, Brunson is a great general on the floor to do this.
Yeah.
But he got into foul trouble.
Yeah.
And that ultimately became a problem. And then when you're having guys like Turner go crazy shooting the three, that's not helping. But for Mr. Halliburton to go crazy, to make that sign after he was not exactly lighting it up per se in this game is an understatement. But the Knicks got a little lazy on executing their game, and plus they tried outrunning the Pacers, and they're not built for that. Like, that was the whole key point. It's like you literally played their game instead of yours.
Yeah.
And in that entire game, Halliburton, they took advantage of the moment, and Halliburton, he throwing up that prayer shot. That was the catalyst, and I think that broke him a little bit.
I mean, I'm looking at the lead tracker for that game one on NBA.com, and the thing it shows is, who had the lead. It's a bar graph. It goes up from start of the game to the end of the game. Biggest lead the Knicks had during this game was 17 points, which I can clearly see where that was on this chart. And you just look at where it goes because they had that 17-point lead about halfway through the fourth quarter.
It was late.
It was halfway through the fourth quarter, and then you just watch how it goes down progressively until it's at 0, where they're tied at the end of the first quarter, and then it stayed kind of even. They took a little bit of a lead into overtime, but then the Pacers ended up emerging victorious. So it just looks like the Pacers kept grinding and the Knicks just fell apart.
Well, the Knicks got in bad foul trouble though too. But the thing was that OG goaltending that wasn't called, that would have iced the game.
Right.
That would have iced it. I'm sorry. Like, that still would have. The Knicks would have won game 1. Game 2, they still. I'm going to make the weirdest comparison, but listen, I saw this online too.
Okay.
They pulled in Atlanta Falcons. They had that.
Yeah.
They had that hangover that leaked around, which I will say, somebody made a meme of that on social media. It was hilarious too, by the way. The Falcons logo with Knicks colors.
Mm-hmm.
But it was true though. That's exactly what happened in game 2. Game 3, the Pacers are the ones who choked.
Right.
Because the Knicks grinded them out. They played more physical. They got in their way. Because, they did not have the foul problems they had in game 2. Brunson having fouls really hurt them. When he got 4 in the third quarter, that was going to ice you anyway.
Yeah.
So in this situation, they turned the tables on them. They punched them right in the mouth. They had momentum in their way. Game 4 drops like this. Towns hurts his knee in a collision in the first 3-4 minutes of the game.
Right.
He's limping the entire time. And unfortunately is now broken. He is questionable for game 5 with a knee contusion. He was not at 100%.
Right.
The rest of the team, they were going back and forth. Nobody was playing defense.
Right.
Which at this point, I do blame Thibodeau for not slowing it down and saying, guys, what are we doing? And they were trying to match them blow for blow. Nobody was pulling a defensive shot. And when they got a defensive stop, for whatever reason, they were passing up easy shots underneath for threes. And I don't understand this because, one, they had the Pacers in foul trouble early, meaning a few players had 2 fouls by the end of the second quarter, if not more. So why are we not driving to the hoop? Why are we not playing physical with them? Because the minute that you slow it down and you were doing that, you were implementing your will. But they come out the second half, and I know you got the stat tracker up there.
I'm looking at it.
They went on a 13-0 run, the Pacers, to start out the second half.
Yeah, holy smokes.
And they never looked back. They were shooting something, I want to say at one point it was like, 70% on the floor or something?
At least,
insane?
yeah.
And then they finally came back to earth.
I mean, I'm looking at the lead tracker.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And the biggest lead the Knicks had all game was 2. And again, this whole NBA.com, you can look it up or Google search it for Game 4. But the biggest lead they had was 2, which happened on 2 occasions. And then they had a lead 1, 2, and so they had the 2-point leads. Then they had a third lead, 4th, 5th, 6th. So they only led 7 times in this entire game. And you just look at how one-sided it is towards the Pacers.
Yeah, no, that's
holy smokes.
That's the whole thing. Like I said, the game tracker just said it right then and there.
Yeah.
So when you're watching that, watching it unfold, the Knicks just had no counter punch.
Uh-huh.
They were getting muscled around. Thibodeau, to his credit, it worked in Game 3 where he actually used his bench for once and people had rest. It was insane. But he went away from what worked. Miles McBride played out of his mind.
Yeah.
And should have got more time on there. I understand he sat Brunson, and the plus-minus ratio is insane. Absolutely wild for what you saw in this. But when you start looking at how the starters were playing for the Knicks, this is a question of, okay, was his big switch-up really worth it? Now, granted, he started Mitchell Robinson over Josh Hart.
Mm-hmm.
You can argue that worked. I don't necessarily would say it did.
Well, Robinson was a -20 for that game. Hart was a -1.
Yeah. That's the whole thing is like you take away what Hart does with the defensive rebounds, which, he got 11 rebounds. Robinson got 7, which is insane.
Sometimes you don't need a guy to be the scorer. You need him to just get rebounds.
Right, which, that's what Robinson usually does.
Hello, Dennis Rodman.
But in this situation, they needed something more, but they needed a stronger defensive presence. They did not have that. Why is Deuce McBride getting only 3 shots?
Mm-hmm.
That's foolish.
Mm-hmm. 1 for 3 and 1 for 3 from the field. So all of his shots were from the 3-point line.
Yeah,
because he was 1 for 3 from the 3-point line.
Yeah. Meanwhile, if they had drove, they would have been fine.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they let Siakam and Turner muscle him around. Siakam, more importantly, too.
Siakam put up 30. Holy smokes.
Yeah, he had a career game, in my opinion.
Halliburton had 32. Naismith had 16. Turner had 13.
And the biggest argument I have here.
Who the hell is Benedict Mathurin? He had 20.
Oh, yeah, they went deep in their bench.
Lord.
Well, that's one thing. I will give the Pacers this. They go deep on their bench, and that's a true testament to what Carlisle and company are doing there.
I got to give Benedict credit. He put up 20 points in 12 and a half minutes.
Oh, yeah. Well, he was getting a lot of shots. That was the whole thing. The Knicks were playing sloppy defense, especially in that second half.
Right.
They came out sleeping, and that's what caught them in the end. They got it near 6 late in the fourth, but they just could not make a shot when they needed to, and they were not playing tight defense. And I'm sorry, this is a situation you need to do it. OG had a terrible game in this matter. I agree, he had 22 points, but defensively, he needs to be the one to lock in Siakam, and he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Bridges, he did not have a great defensive game. And Towns was playing on one bad knee. I will give him a pass on this.
Sure.
Because he was trying to, not that he's this great lockdown defender, he's not. But I will say this. Now you go to Game 5. Mm-hmm. If Towns is out, I don't see them winning this.
It's a wrap.
It's got to be a wrap.
You got to play near perfect basketball for this to work and pull off a miracle. I don't know if we've ever seen in the NBA. I realize 3-1, it's been done before, blah, 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 blah.
Well, yeah, but that's a different scenario.
Right. But so you got to pull off a miracle.
Yeah.
Just to do this. And I'll be honest, I don't, like I said before, I don't care the Game 5 is in the Garden. I don't care what the point spread is. I don't care if Dolan all of a sudden has a euphoric moment or a moment of clarity and decides to let every former Knick sit courtside just for that moment and that presence. It ain't going to matter because Indiana has just been too good and they've had your number this entire time, albeit minus the 1 game.
Well, that's the thing. They need to go in and they need to play the lights-out defense. They need to go and do what they did against Boston. And the problem is they haven't done it in 3 games.
Yep.
That's the biggest problem that is just glaring. I'm trying to find a better word to say, but listen, it's not.
Yeah.
And granted, they're 5-point favorites going into this, even with the Towns, which is kind of wild to me.
Mm-hmm.
Could they steal this game? Absolutely. because I could see the Pacers going in overconfident about this. And say what you will, they're not a team that is going to be ready to ice them. I just don't think they're ready to ice the Knicks and put them, on the shelf and go to the finals just yet. Game 6, that could be a whole different ball game.
Right.
But for the Knicks to pull this off, they could, but they have to play lights out defense. If they somehow find a way to do that, they have a shot. Not a great one. If you want me to give a percentage, I'm going to say 20%.
Okay.
20% they got a chance to win this whole series. Will they win Game 5? I'm going to say yes. I don't think that they're going to shut down the Pacers because I think the Pacers are going to come in overconfident.
Yeah, that could be.
And that's the only thing. I think that they're just riding high too much right now. And plus, I just think there was a lot of stuff I was seeing on the court that if the Knicks really lock it in for Game 5 at least, swing some confidence back their way, Game 6 is wide open. And if they commit to what they need to and they can get Bridges and OG to play defense and get McBride more shots, then they can give a run for the money because I don't think the Pacers are a better team. I really don't. I'm not saying this with a bias. I'm just saying from what I've seen, they're letting Siakam play like a lights-out all-star.
Right.
Halliburton, I think, is overrated because he's shooting 3 points uncontested. When you're not giving him real contested shots, he's nailing it. But you know what? If you're in the NBA and you have a wide-open shot, you should be nailing it.
You got to take it.
There should be no question about that. But this comes down on Thibodeau. He better game plan for it. He better have it executed. If you don't have Towns in that lineup, somebody's got to be the catalyst to score points.
Oh, boy.
Because if he's not there, sure, you can play Mitchell Robinson, but you're going to need somebody else to have a career game to step up and allow that Game 6. Then all bets are off. But, I mean, I would say as of right now, I would say Pacers in 6.
It ain't looking good, that's for sure.
It's not looking good. Am I going to be rooting for the Knicks? Absolutely.
Well, yeah, I would say, is water wet?
Yeah.
Does a bear you-know-what in the woods?
I'm not jumping ship by any means, but I'm just being a very realistic, fan about this.
Yeah.
If they run the table, it's going to be up there with that Cleveland Golden State series.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think it will overtake it because of the emotion behind it.
Yeah.
But I will say it will be up there. And then if not, could I see Thibodeau being fired after this series? Absolutely.
Oh, 100%.
I could see it.
You had a team knock off, the reigning, defending, undisputed champs, and however many games it was, shocked the hell out of everybody that not a lot of people gave outside of the tri-state area gave the Knicks a chance. And then you came into this game, which on paper seemed even footing. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, yeah, the Knicks are better than the Pacers or the Pacers are better than the. To me, they seemed on pretty even footing. And effectively, thus far, you've crapped the bed.
Yeah. I mean, there's no easy way to put it, but that's what's going to happen. And I would not doubt, because there has been a lot of rumblings, more than I like to hear at this stage.
Sure.
That if Giannis
oh Lord
pushes to come to New York, which I allegedly, I think that is his preferred destination. The Knicks are going to move heaven and earth to make that happen.
I just want to say this, and again, saying this as a non-biased fan and somebody who, does talk sports, on this show for however many years now.
8.
Knicks fans, and you especially, temper your expectations because we went through this how many years ago? When it's we're going to get Kyrie, we're going to get KD, we're going to get Zion, and then you didn't get nothing.
Oh, no. Okay, in this situation, I said allegedly, but I don't think they should.
Right.
The KD Kyrie situation is free agency.
Sure.
And everybody bought in and X, Y, and Z.
Sure.
The Zion thing, we just didn't get him in the draft. That's the only thing with him.
Yeah.
I mean, what were we supposed to do in the draft? I mean, we all thought it was going to happen, didn't. The Giannis thing, I said, if he pushes, because he's still under contract. That's the thing.
Could be.
If he pushes, that's a different story, Pat. But that's the only thing. If he goes up to the Bucks front office and says, oh, I want to leave and I want to go to New York, that's the only place I want to go to.
Right.
They're going to entertain it at best.
Right.
And then you worry about it then. I'm not saying he is coming. That's why I said the allegedly.
Right.
So we'll see what happens because I could see them dismantling that team to put him with Brunson.
Mm-hmm.
As wild as that sounds. But we'll see if they can somehow pull something off. We'll be talking a different story next week. But if not, it's looking like Oklahoma City and Indiana.
Highest ratings ever. Source, trust me, bro.
It means I got more time to do reviews, so that's a big win for me, I guess. But that being said, you got our picks about this. Now we want to hear yours, ODPH Society. Hit us up on the hashtag ODPH Pod. NBA playoffs are in full swing. Who's going to the finals? Let us know. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Do you like comic books?
What about movies and TV shows?
Well, we may be the show for you.
We're Hops Geek News, a weekly podcast that discusses comics, movies, and TV shows while featuring a beer of the week.
Every week, we chat about what we messed up on the week before, and then we dive into what we're reading and watching, as well as some news.
We then wrap it up with a geek-themed topic of the week.
You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts by searching Hops Geek News.
Cheers.
Coming back for another segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. And it's time to say goodbye to the world of Jacksonville, Wyoming.
For now.
Yes, we have now reached the season finale of the second season of Naughty Dog's adaptation on HBO, The Last of Us. The story of Joel and Ellie, played by Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey, has been one that has really came back with a strong presence, getting reconnected to the pop culture audience. Albeit, though, there has been some moments that have really shocked some people.
Yeah.
Which, this is why we always say, folks, find the source material and get caught up before you watch these shows, because if you go in cold, oh man, there's a lot of questions. And this season has been nothing short of brutal in every aspect, because the game is not nice.
It doesn't pull punches.
Yes, the game is not one that has the happy ending, so to speak.
At least not yet.
No, not yet, but we still have a long ways to go. But before we go into Season 3, which is going to be a little while before we see it again.
Probably 2-3 years.
Yeah, we have to cap off the season that was. So, if you're new to the ODPH, what we'd like to do is give you a spoiler-free statement of what we're going to be discussing. After said point, we are like the Clash. We ask you, do you stay or do you go? Because we give you a countdown. After said countdown, we deep dive into spoilers. We talk everything we know about it. We do not hold back. We do not pull punches. So you have been forewarned if you haven't watched the show. You have to either pause and watch the episode and jump in, or you're like, hey, let's go. I want to just talk about it no matter what. And then you stay for the conversation, and boom, there it is. So all of that said, Pad, let us talk the season finale of Season 2 of The Last of Us, entitled Convergence.
Good episode. It wasn't bad. Wasn't great, but it certainly could have been stronger. It had its moments, but for me, the pacing was just all over the fucking place, to the point where I had to rewind a couple scenes just to keep track of what was going on and where we were going, and that's not for, he was looking at his phone. He was sending a No, I was watching this. I didn't watch it the night it aired because I was busy doing other things. I watched this on Tuesday, and Tuesday afternoon, I should say. So I had to rewind a couple scenes just because I'm like, what is happening? What is going on? But my biggest things were the ending was interesting, and then what it sets up for Season 2, I understand, or Season 3, excuse me. I understand to a certain degree, but I still sit there and kind of go, okay, why? I understand, and you want to go that direction, okay, but I still sit there and I can't help but wonder why. So it was okay.
Well, I thought they really wanted to put a lot of exclamation points on this. I feel that they really wanted to bring out the brutality of this world.
Sure.
And they did. And I think for where they ended things, I'm much like you. I thought this is going to be an interesting Season 3. Do we really need this?
It did. The ending for this season, if you haven't seen it, did what Return of the King did in Lord of the Rings, where it had multiple endings. And by that, what I mean is I'm not saying it's like a choose your own adventure book.
Yeah.
There was different ways for the story to end. No, the episode could have ended at least 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. There was a lot of jumping off points.
Which there was one that I know we'll get to that I'm like, yo, that's an awesome way to end the season. Like, holy shit, that's really going to leave everybody on their toes. And then it wasn't the ending.
Yeah, I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
I think, if you've seen, you know.
Yeah, so there's a lot to digest with this. And is it enough to keep the fan base entertained?
Based off the ratings, probably not.
Yeah, that's going to be the big question mark that this series is going to have. And it's not to say this was a bad season in general, because it wasn't. But the problem that you have with these shows that take exorbitant amount of times, if I can use that word, off.
Yeah.
It's hard to hold that pop culture audience, and let alone this video game franchise is over and done with.
Well,
to a degree. But I'm saying it's not exactly the buzz franchise it used to be.
No.
Now, granted, there's a lot more interest in this franchise now because of the show. But
convenient enough they're re-releasing it for like the 5th time.
Right. Well, they're understanding the temp in the room.
Oh, sure, I get it.
But knowing
I get it.
But knowing how we're doing season 3, a lot of question marks to be had.
That's the biggest thing. Is season 1 aired in 2022, if I'm not mistaken, and then I'll look it up. And then this season aired in 2025. So there's a lot coming out between now and whenever this happens. We don't know where that show is production-wise for season 3. You know, so we got to sit there and go, okay, you got to hold people's. It came out in the 2023, so it was 2 years. So the biggest thing is, it's not coming out next year. It'd already be into production, and we would have heard some stuff, and I'm sure some set photos would have been out already, and all this other stuff. So it's not coming out. But if they do end up doing a 4th season, you can't do another 2-year wait after that, because nobody's going to give a shit. Because there's a lot coming out on HBO alone, not to mention Netflix and Hulu and regular cable, you know, plus the theaters. Are you going to be, and Prime, almost forgot Amazon Prime Video. Are you going to be able to hold people's attention with this season being not as well received as season 1 is? And you might think I'm lying, but folks, I got the numbers in front of me. Rotten Tomatoes score for season 1, and this is just the user score. The critics both love both seasons. Both are certified fresh.
Sure.
Rotten Tomatoes for the critics. Season 1 for The Last of Us with over 10,000 plus ratings.
Wow.
86%.
Makes sense.
Season 2 for The Last of Us, and again, this is just the user score, with over 5,000 plus ratings. 38%.
I can explain that, but I'm going to wait till spoiler talk.
Here's the other thing too, because I've got the IMDb ratings, and I'm not going to go through everyone, but just for comparison's sake, highest rated on IMDb, and again, you got to take IMDb ratings with a grain of salt.
Sure.
But highest rated episode for season 1 of The Last of Us was episode 5, which was entitled Endure and Survive, got a 9.4 on IMDb. This is out of 10. Lowest rated episode for that season was episode 7, which got a 7.3. Highest rated episode for season 2 was episode 2, Through the Valley, which got a 9.2. Lowest rated episode for season 2 was episode 4, which got a 6.2. So, I mean, listen, the fan reception is what it is, you know, and that's going to be the hard thing, is you really got to deliver and make a comeback from what season 2 was, because you look at the numbers, fans were not necessarily that big of a fan of what they saw.
No.
For one reason or another.
Well, like I say, I'll deep dive into spoiler talk with it, because I don't want to go into a big tangent on here.
Sure.
Per se, till after the countdown, because I have a complete theory about why this happened.
Okay.
And it'll make sense when we get into it. So, that being said, it was a good episode. Not the greatest thing ever, but
sure,
it was what it was. But let's get into that spoiler talk, because I'm just going to start rambling about that. So in 3, 2, 1, Pad, let's talk Convergence.
Yeah, like I said, you know, the episode was okay. It wasn't the best. It wasn't the worst. You know, I could kind of tell how things were going to be when it got to Sunday night and it got to after 10 o'clock and I wasn't seeing spoilers like I did when Joel died. So I'm like, all right, well, clearly nothing insane happens, you know, to the point where people are spoiling it less than 10 minutes after the episode is finished airing. And then I started seeing some folks number reviews online. I'm like, okay, so I went into it, and the episode was fine. Like I said, the pacing was off. I understand some of the choices they did and kind of why they went the way they did, but it still really didn't leave me sitting there going, oh my God, I need season 3. I hate that we got to wait for however many years for season 3. I'm sitting there kind of going, when it comes, it'll come. I'll watch, but I'm not chomping at the bit.
This episode left a lot to be desired.
Yeah.
Because where they were trying to go with this is they wanted to make a lot of exclamation points. They wanted to get pop culture buzzing about this.
They wanted it to be, a typical Game of Thrones. Well, I won't say Game of Thrones, HBO season finale.
Right.
Oh my God. And is all the water cooler talk the next day.
Right. And unfortunately, they did not learn that that's not working. Because, as you alluded to about the Rotten Tomato scores,
yep,
when you kill off a major character like Pedro Pascal's Joel, that pop culture audience is not going to understand it.
Uh-huh.
And they clearly didn't by the reactions of the show. Because that's why I fully believe is why they have such a low score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Could be.
Because we've seen this in the Glenn Negan theory, which I've talked about many times on the show.
Sure.
That is the moment that people turned on The Walking Dead because they couldn't believe that they killed off Glenn.
I mean, at the same token, though, it didn't necessarily have the same effect The Walking Dead did, because we remember what the ratings were like for Walking Dead once they killed Glenn. It dropped there. They actually went up a little bit, and they kind of sustained themselves because episode 2 for this season, which is the episode they killed off Joel, 643,000, and this is only on cable. This doesn't factor in the streaming portion of things, so this number is probably a lot higher than what it actually is. But for cable, it did 643,000 viewers. Episode 3, so after Joel got killed, 768,000. Episode 4, 774. Dropped a little bit for episode 5, 652. And then episode 6 was 701.
Well, I think it was just about the chase after, but in this case, though, that made a lot of people react. That's why I fully banked that score was down for Rotten Tomatoes. And for what this episode did, they wanted to make a lot of people go, and I just think that they didn't get that because I think it got a lot more people going, huh?
Yeah.
Because they did a lot of killing off of characters here.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
And I think that the moments they were trying to add in, they didn't exactly gel well.
Yeah.
That weren't in the video game. And I think for especially how they ended the episode, that was a lot. That was very tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because where this episode starts off, you have Ellie is now finally back with Dina and Jesse. So Isabella Merced played Dina and young Mazzino is playing Jesse. They kind of have a reunion of sorts.
Sure.
And this is when Ellie is coming back because obviously she wound up beating Nora and leaving her for dead in the basement.
Yep.
To get infected by the airborne virus.
In a brutal sense without actually being brutal.
Right. So at this case, though, you see Dina is hurt because obviously they've been getting attacked.
Yep.
And she has to deal with getting shot in the leg by an arrow.
Yep.
So as they're trying to escape here, this is when Ellie comes clean about everything that Joel did. Uh-huh. And she's telling this to Dina. And
Dina's like, let's just go home.
Well, at this point, it's just you understand where Ellie's mindset is because the only person who approves of this action is Joel and he's dead.
Yeah.
Because Ellie understands in her mind, the ends justify the means.
Yeah.
And in this situation, it's no matter what, we're getting vengeance for Joel because Joel risks his life to save mine.
Well, and plus, Dina, I think, was on board to a point where she's like, all right, Ellie wants to go in, get Abby, get vengeance, all this other stuff. Okay, that's fine. And then they got to Seattle and saw, because they went up against a total unknown. They didn't know how big this crew was. They didn't know how far their reach was and all this other stuff. And that's when she got there and went, oh, we're so far out of our element. We have no business being here.
Yeah.
But Ellie is like, I don't care. Let's do it anyway.
Well, Ellie has literally nothing else that she wants in her life. There's no other purpose.
Yeah.
The purpose is to take down Abby. And then I don't know, after she does that, if she does that, where does she go?
Yeah.
That's the big question mark we don't know as fans.
It's Joker without Batman and vice versa.
Exactly. So there's a little break in the action, though, as Dina is now jumping ship and wants to go home.
Yeah.
That there is a call that they intercept
from one of the bad guys' radios.
Yep. And they hear about a sniper.
Yep.
And at this stage, Jesse thinks it's Tommy, who's played by Gabriel Luna.
They came in together.
Yeah, so it makes sense. So he's like, Tommy needs help. I'm going to go help him.
Yep.
And then all this point, Ellie is like, well, time to get back to work.
Yeah, so they're at an elevated position, and she sees this aquarium and goes, this is where Abby is. She has to be there.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave you, get on a motorboat, drive across this body of water in a freaking monsoon,
Yeah.
and I'm going to go get Abby.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
It does not work.
She almost dies.
Yeah, this was oversaturated, I think.
The CGI special effects on this was not the best.
No, this really looked like they just tried emphasizing the dangers that she was trying to do, and I just thought this was just too much.
Oh, it was, because this whole sequence that takes place once she gets to this island was something after the episode, they said they wanted to include in the game, but for whatever reason they didn't, so they decided to do it here. Utterly pointless.
Yeah.
Other than one of those, well, as you alluded to, they wanted to go for shock value. It wasn't shocking. It was, play stupid games, you're going to win stupid prizes.
Exactly. Like at this stage, there was no point. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like she's already on a crazy mission to begin with.
Yeah, this isn't some plot thread that gets introduced and is going to pay off in season 3 or season 4 if they decide to do it. She showed up, something happened, it ended.
Yeah, like during the sequence, I was expecting to play Flight of the Valkyries as she's blazing through the water.
It might have made it better.
Yeah, like I say, because Ellie was like that committed to do it. But then when she goes and survives, well, this is when she washes up on shores. There's a young child that sees her.
The boat's there and she washes up on shore. Yeah.
Yeah. And when she's there, well, as she's walking around, she runs into the cult.
And she recognizes the kid from earlier in the season. The cult tries to hang her because, hey, she is an outsider. They don't care who you are. They're gonna kill you. She tries pleading with the kid, like, no, hey, I helped you. You can help me. Like, let me go. No, they do the whole, Roman Coliseum thumbs down.
Yeah.
No, you're dead. And the only thing that saves her is like an explosion or something in the background, and they all scatter.
Yeah. So after that, they deem her a threat, and they try unaliving her.
Yeah.
They now let her go.
Yep.
And this whole scene is like was a roadblock for no reason.
It's like they realized, oh shit, we need to get another 5 minutes in the episode. Just write this in.
Yeah, and it just doesn't make sense.
No.
So Ellie finally makes her way to the aquarium. So after all this time, she now finally gets there.
Uh-huh.
And then she runs into a pregnant Mel and Owen, so two of Abby's gang.
Yep, and we're there for the incident with Joel.
Yeah, and they look and go, holy crap, like, what are you doing here?
You're here.
Yeah, and she's like, yeah, I'm here. Where's Abby, mother?
And what is it? The guy Owen tries pleading with Ellie, like, hey, I let you live.
Yeah.
We let you live.
You owe us one.
She's like, I don't care. So and Ellie goes, oh, you guys were talking about Abby. You need to tell me where she was. She goes, and they go, no, we weren't. And she goes, yeah, you were. I heard you before I walked in the room. Here's what we're going to do. She comes up with this crazy idea.
The crazy plan.
She has a map there. They have a map. She goes, here's what we're going to do. You're both going to tell me where Abby is, but you're going to tell me separately. And you better point to the same spot or you're dead. And at that point, Owen goes, yeah, sure. Reaches for a gun. Ellie shoots and kills him.
Yeah.
But in shooting him, the bullet hits Mel in the neck.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Mel is now dying.
Yep. So she's now dying on the floor. She's begging Ellie to deliver her baby, which unfortunately she can't do.
Gruesome scene.
It's a very horrific scene. And so now at this moment too, Jesse and Tommy have to be the ones to rescue Ellie.
Yeah.
And once they get back to the theater where they've set up home base, well, there's a little bit of a disturbance as we see.
You know who shows up.
Yep, because we see Jesse and Ellie running to the door.
Yep.
And as soon as they come out through the door, Jesse gets shot in the head.
Yep.
Instantly killed.
Yep.
Tommy is injured on the ground, and who is holding him down? Abby.
Uh-huh.
So there is the reunion showdown going on between Ellie and Abby, played by Caitlin Dever.
And Abby is ready to kill Tommy because she thinks Tommy killed her two friends.
Yep.
And Ellie goes, no, that wasn't him. That was me. It was an accident. I'm sorry. I didn't want to do it. She's all of a sudden having, one of those conscious moments of like her conscience is speaking to her and going, oh my God, I screwed up. Abby doesn't care. Abby looks at her and goes, oh, so it was you. Bang.
Yep.
Cut to black. Thought it was the end of the episode.
Should have been the episode.
And I'm sitting there going, holy smokes. Great ending.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't.
No, then it wasn't. And this is where I feel they dropped the ball.
Yep.
Completely.
Yep.
We now get this flashback sequence of Seattle Day 1 where Abby is woken up by Manny saying her that Isaac has now summoned them. So now this is tying in some other members that we've seen from previously in this season. One being the Isaac played by Jeffrey Wright, who is the leader of the WLF. And when we saw him the last time, it was not exactly a friendly visit. So now things are just going to get a little more out of control because where they leave things off is literally at Seattle.
The Seattle Seahawks Stadium.
Yep. And it's Seattle Day 3. So now you're seeing
day 3 of something.
You're seeing the formation of the WLF. That's the way I took it.
Yeah, I did too.
And that's how the season ends.
Yep.
So there's a lot going on. I mean, acting wise, listen,
it was great.
Acting wise, I'm taking nothing away from Bella Ramsey.
Bella Ramsey was phenomenal.
She did great. She has been like literally the only reason to watch the show. She's even been better than Pedro Pascal. I'll say it. Easily, hands down.
Yeah.
Caitlin Dever, even though we did not get her a lot.
No.
Prior to the flashback, was amazing.
Oh, yeah, but that's the thing. Small doses, it works wonders.
Yeah. And then the over-the-top deaths, though, I thought took it away a little bit. I thought that...
Shock value for shock value's sake, and it didn't work.
Yeah, that's the one problem with it. I think that they tried doing too much, and especially trying making Abby's journey to the aquarium was just... way too
pointless.
Much. It was way too much. Granted, is it dangerous? Yes, but you had 2 near deaths to get there.
Yeah,
and for what? To establish the 2 gruesome murders she did.
Yeah,
it was just it was a lot. It was just a lot to take in, and I thought it took away from where the acting has been. When they go for these big moments, they build up to it.
Yeah.
This just seemed like we're just going to throw something against the wall here and hope it really sticks and really gets out of the audience.
Yeah.
And I just don't think they did.
The writing this season just, for me, wasn't as crisp as it was season 1.
Well, I think the problem that they have is season 1 is very character driven.
Sure.
That it's them getting accustomed to each other, the fight for survival. And then this season, you add in a whole different dynamic. The parallels to The Walking Dead cannot be ignored.
No.
When you take the fight away from zombie and human, and you now try making
human versus human.
Oh,
by the way, zombies are still there.
Yeah. You really take away from what's the driving point. Now, I understand you have to kind of mix things up a little bit.
Sure.
But I think for what you're trying to do is you're really trying to establish that was your major threat and everything else going around wasn't. Because if you think about it, other than the attack of Jackson, did we really have a lot of those creatures running around this season?
Nope.
So you literally...
It was literally the attack of Jackson, and that was it.
Yeah. So you got away from the core thing, even though you had the little thing with Nora in the basement.
Sure.
But
that was, episode 6?
Right. Like I say, it wasn't enough to really sustain the dangers going around.
The attack in Jackson was episode 2, and then you really didn't feel a threat from the clickers until episode 6. So a full 4 episodes later.
Yeah, so I really thought that hurt this season. And even though with the great acting performances, because there was.
Oh, yeah.
No question about that. There was. I really think that kind of held back, and I think that this episode really felt like they were going for a lot more shock value, which I did not like.
It almost felt like, in a way, they were trying to establish the world at a larger size.
Yeah.
A la Walking Dead did. But the thing for Walking Dead is there's a lot more material to it, unlike The Last of Us, where there are 2 games.
Yeah, they're trying to expand too much on what's already been built.
And we already know kind of where the ending's going to be, because they've said, we're going to do season 3. We'd like to do season 4. And, they don't want to outstay their welcome. Mm-hmm. So this isn't like Walking Dead where they were like, we're going to do this until the wheels fall off.
And they still are.
And that's the thing. They still are. There's still the Daryl Dixon show, and there's the Maggie and
Dead City.
There's Dead City, which are still going. They're getting added to Netflix and all this other stuff. But there's not a larger world for this franchise.
Right. And in this kind of situation,
Like, unless Naughty Dog does something different, which to this point they haven't made a Last of Us Part 3. There's really not much you can do.
no, there isn't. I mean, at this stage, like, there's no shame in bowing out gracefully. Not saying
Sure.
that, the show should end tomorrow or whatever. No, but when you're trying to add too much to your plate,
Yeah.
eventually something's going to fall off.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened here. I think that they got away from some sharp moments
Sure.
because they tried doing too much world building. And it's like less is more in this situation. Because now you have that cult you never really explained.
Yeah.
The WLF, that's still wide open. You got away from everybody in Jackson. And now, obviously killing off major characters like Jesse, that's a big deal. And then especially where things allegedly are going to leave off with Ellie and Abby. Because now we're literally going to have to sit through an entire year of Abby's story. Which honestly can be either great or can be bad.
Yeah.
It's a risk.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I don't know how the pop culture audience is going to deal with it, depending on how long they want to do it.
Right.
That's the whole thing. So we'll have to wait and see when the show comes back. But is this ending enough to sustain that audience?
For me, I'll watch, but like I said, I'm not chomping at the bit for, oh my God, I need season 3 now.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. Like, I think that it was solid for what it needed to do, but I think they added way too many bells and whistles.
I'll say, I just thought of this
way
one.
too many.
It's not like Ahsoka season 1.
Right.
Where me having watched Clone Wars, I can't tell you how many times, saw that end sequence from Ahsoka season 1 with the statue at the end, and I went, oh, what the shit?
Yeah.
I need season 2 tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm not that same feeling.
I'm right there with you. Like, I think that this episode was good, but as far as anointing it and saying it was great and I need that season, no, I don't. Like, honestly, if I don't come back for a few years, I'm good.
Right.
And that's just being completely honest. But that said, we gave you our takes on this. Now we want to hear yours, ODPH Society. Hit us up on that hashtag and let us know your thoughts on the season finale of Season 2 of The Last of Us from HBO and Naughty Dog. Let's talk about it, shall we? But first, we're going to get another breakout. We'll be right back.
You ever wondered what comics Mark from Balaam Eyes into? What Zach from Left Behind's favorite MCU movies are? Well, Metalcore Nerds is the show for you. My name is Sean Mott, and here at Metalcore Nerds, we cover the latest things in pop culture, whether it be Star Wars, Marvel, DC, AEW, and everything else in between. You can listen to the show every Monday on Adobe Howl at 7 p.m. Eastern, or find it anywhere you find podcasts after it debuts on the radio station.
Coming back for another segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast, and time to recap a wild weekend of wrestling from the WWE.
Let the bodies hit the floor. Oh, sorry, wrong federation.
Wrong show, but listen, I'll speak very quickly on AEW Double or Nothing.
That was the best part of that night.
That match was.
Holy hell.
Anarchy in the arena was fun. Super fun. Everything else,
Take it or leave it.
yeah, there's a lot to be left desired, I would say.
Yeah.
I will say this. I thought Will Ospreay and Hangman Adam Page was very good.
Uh-huh.
I don't really struggle with that. The ending was a little surprising to me.
Yeah.
Especially going into their biggest event of the year.
Uh-huh.
So overall, I mean, it was what it was. Like
Sure.
I say, I wasn't in love with the show by any means,
Sure.
but I will say the Anarchy in the Arena match was the match of the night, in my opinion. If you want to even hear more about that, Wrestling Night Live this week, I know Rich and Sammy are going to be talking about that along with a few other topics, much like we are discussing here today, because we said it was a big week for WWE, and I think they won the weekend.
Whew.
In my opinion, with two big events going on. So, Pat, let's talk about what happened. SATURDAY night.
Yeah, Saturday night's main event took place this past Saturday. They were in Tampa, Florida all weekend at the Yuengling Center. But yeah, this one took place on NBC and Peacock with Saturday night's main event. First match that took place on the show, on broadcast. It was a dark match. We didn't see it. But the first match that took place on the show was the tag team match with CM Punk and Sami Zayn taking on Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, and emerging victorious, winning in 13 minutes and 10 seconds, was the team of Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, although they had a new addition to the ranks.
Listen, I was wrong about this because I did not know this man was back.
You know what? Looking back, should have known.
Should have known, but listen, I am not mad about this at all.
No.
Big Bronson Reed teaming up with Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, give it to me.
Tsunami.
I'm not even mad I was wrong about the Sami Zayn thing after this. I'm not. This was perfect. This is everything they needed to do, and they needed, like, the only other thing they could do, and honestly, I know Rich has mentioned this on Wrestling Night Live a couple times.
Sure.
Put Fraxian with him. As wild as it sounds, put him with a tag team, like a young tag team.
Sure.
That Heyman can mold and do some stuff with.
Sure.
I think this is even money, but a hell of a reaction for Bronson Reed coming back.
Yeah.
Love everything they built up with this.
Yeah.
Big bucket of win.
Yeah, match was good. Not quite sure where they're going to go from here, but hey, that's why we watch. Next up was a singles match for the WWE Women's United States Championship, and you had Zelina Vega defeat Chelsea Green via pinfall to retain her United States Championship in 5 minutes and 10 seconds.
A little surprised, but then again, not really.
Yeah.
Zelina Vega, I thought, has just not gotten over with the crowd yet as champion. Like, it's kind of weird when she comes out. There's not a huge pop, and there should be. Like, Zelina's great.
Oh, yeah, she is.
But it just didn't seem to click here. Granted, a very, very bad 619 attempt.
Yeah.
That busted Chelsea Green open.
Yeah.
Chelsea, listen, you put her on camera, she's going to steal the show.
Yeah.
That's just how good she is.
Yeah.
If they try moving her up for the world title, I would not be mad about it.
No, I wouldn't either. Match was fine.
Match was fine.
Yeah.
A couple of hiccups here and there, but listen, good for Zelina to get a big win. And then, like I say, it's going to be interesting to see where Chelsea goes from here. But I want to say, don't doubt the world title push.
Listen, as long as she has the secret her-fist, she can go
so
anywhere.
Good.
Next up was a singles match between John Cena and Ron Cena. And you had John Cena defeat R-Truth in 4 minutes and 25 seconds via pinfall, as we, all expected.
I was holding out hope for the dream. But now I'm just fantasy booking, and just hear me out.
Okay.
R-Truth takes this to heart. He somehow gets into the Money in the Bank match. Maybe he just runs in the ring and grabs the briefcase and runs away, throwing everything out, and then tries acting like he doesn't have the case. And then at Saturday Night Main Event in Boston, Cena's last match, it's him, and he takes the belt from Cena and he finishes his story. Mm-hmm. This is a great match. R-Truth being John Cena was incredible. The mannerisms, everything about it. Yeah, this one the way it was expected to go. I wasn't super shocked at this. I mean, granted, they want to pull a big swerve, they could have. Yeah, but it was what it was.
I mean, listen, the whole R-Truth Money in the Bank thing, I mean, plausibly could happen. We do know, looking forward to the Money in the Bank ladder match, we do know 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 6 participants. The 4 we know, Solo Sikoa, L.A. Knight, Penta, and Seth Rollins. There are 2 undetermined spots. The 5th spot will be determined on an episode of SmackDown taking place this Friday between Andrade, Carmelo Hayes, and Jacob Fatu. Spoiler alert who I'm picking. It's the name I said last. All gas, no brakes. So there is 1 spot left with the Monday Night Raw crew. Maybe not. I don't know. But for this match, I mean, listen, the best part of this was R-Truth going full John Cena. It was full him coming out in the gear. He had his own merch, Ron Cena, which is part of the reason I made the joke. I mean, this match was what I expected it to be. It was just a filler. It was just something to feature to get the people to tune in, and it was what it was. It was fun.
It was fun. It was everything it needed to be.
Yeah.
Like I said, Money in the Bank. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Carmelo Hayes.
Okay.
Listen, Jacob Fatu does no wrong in my eyes.
All gas, no brakes.
But I am almost wondering if he doesn't get it cost on his way in. Like somebody Jeff Cobb, I can't think of his new name now, but
yeah.
But if Jeff Cobb winds up costing him because you don't go against Solo,
I almost want to say JC Escar, but I know that's the catcher for the Yankees.
Is it JC Mateo?
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
I think so. But anyway, either way, like I said, Money in the Bank is shaping up to be something. We'll be talking about that next week.
Yeah. Next up on the card for the WWE on Saturday, in a steel cage match, you had Damian Priest defeat Drew McIntyre in 11 minutes and 50 seconds in the most dastardly way possible if you're Jesse the Body Ventura.
Oh my God. Is it bad that this is the takeaway I have from this match?
No. Drew McIntyre won Damian Priest won in 11 minutes and 50 seconds by walking out of the cage, which apparently Jesse Ventura forgot was an option.
Yeah, like,
The disgust in his voice was tremendous.
oh, Jesse's great on commentary. I love it when he comes for these events.
Yeah.
But he's old school as old school gets.
Oh, he is.
I understand it, and
But it's the most disrespectful way
yeah.
to win that match, and that's how much in storyline Damian Priest hates Drew McIntyre. I'm not going to pin you. I'm not going to climb over this, however tall that steel cage is. I'm just going to walk out the door.
Yeah, no, it was disrespectful as all could be, and that's what he wanted to go with.
Yeah,
And,
I don't think this is over between the two of them.
I mean, it is for now.
Yeah,
I will
yeah,
say,
yeah.
because the steel cage has to be the blow off match for a bit. I mean, because there's only one other way you could go.
Hell in a Cell,
Right, but I mean, you just had a steel cage match. What are you going to do there? Like,
yeah.
that's the only thing for right now. So I would not doubt that Drew goes away for a little bit. I mean,
Could be.
there's rumors he's involved in a movie.
Well, it's either a movie or he's hurt.
He's
working. I think I've read he was working through some injuries.
Yeah, so I think he goes away for a while. If they want to have him come back, like he's earned enough time off. And
Oh, yeah,
he's re-signed for days. So folks, we don't got to worry about that.
Yeah.
If he came back and like let's say he shows up before Hell in a Cell and he decides to hit him and then
Could
they
be.
go that okay,
Could
then
be.
you have a storyline you can mess around with. So
And then the main event of the evening was a singles match for the World Heavyweight Championship with Jey Uso defeating Logan Paul via pinfall in 9 minutes 45 seconds. But of course, a little bit of shenanigans with this one.
yeah, this is one that they kind of tipped their hand a little to. John Cena had a run in with Jey Uso in the back and said something like he's now on this would ruin wrestling if you lost to Logan Paul. Like the gimmick, I will say this. I'm not in love when Cena cuts promos like this.
Yeah.
Because it comes off too corny.
Well, and the whole Cena, and I can't take credit for this. I saw somebody bring this point up online, and I leaned to agree with them. Cena as a heel in this sense only works if The Rock is invested.
Yeah.
The Rock wanted Cody's soul. Cody said no. So ergo, he had, there's always a plan B,
Yep.
to borrow the phrase from Triple H. So plan B was John Cena. And John Cena sold his soul because, he just had to win number 17. He had to beat Ric Flair's number, whatever it is. Never mind the golden shovel. So it only works if The Rock's involved. But The Rock showed up, did the whole hand across the throat. Cena turned heel, and then he promptly absconded for his filming duties. So I think it would have been better if The Rock had been around. Now, I'm not saying he's got to show up every week. He's got to make an appearance on WWE every other week, whatever it is. But, just be involved in some capacity. Film something in between takes or whatever with your movie of, sending a message in for something for Cena or whatever the hell it is. But this is part of the problem when your world title holder and the guy he's allegedly associated with are both mega movie stars and busy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's the one tough thing you have to deal with is The Rock doing this angle. He needs somebody on TV every week. And even when they get Logan Paul involved, because now obviously the match ends with Jey Uso winning.
Yep.
Because
Cena came out, tried to interfere with the matchup. Didn't work because a returning Cody Rhodes came out.
the quarterback.
Even the odds. So now the setup is, and it's already been announced for Money in the Bank taking place on Saturday, June 7th, is going to be a tag match between Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso against John Cena and Logan Paul.
Which will be a fun main event.
Oh, yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah, I mean, that's a perfect way to do a tag team match that doesn't tie up Cena, doesn't tie up Jey Uso.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, the world titles won't be defended, but they don't need to be. The real main event that night is Money in the Bank.
Yep.
So whoever wins that match, I mean, that's the big takeaway from this night. So yeah, if they want to do this will be a fun match. I would not doubt we get maybe a Travis Scott appearance. I know it's been rumored.
Yeah, there's been rumors.
Maybe he shows up and then they add Jimmy Uso because I know that was a heavy rumor going around too.
Sure.
So they'll do some kind of fun shenanigans here, but this is a perfect way to kind of cap it off.
Yeah.
And then that wasn't even the biggest event going on.
No, so then that biggest event was the next night, same building, for NXT, and that was NXT Battleground, which took place on Sunday. First match on this card was a singles match for the NXT Women's North American Championship with Sol Ruka defending her belt against Kalani Jordan, winning via pinfall in 12 minutes and 59 seconds.
Well, I mean, this one really, was a great match. I would say it was solid. But everybody's talking about Sol Ruka's finisher,
Oh, shit.
which is insane.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the big thing. You want to get the internet talking, you hit a move like that. Her soul snatcher from the top rope is just freaking it. Like the timing involved in that. Kudos to everybody involved. I mean, enough said.
No, yeah.
I mean, what are you going to say about
phenomenal
that?
match. If you haven't seen the Soul Snatch, go look it up. It's incredible. Next up was a 6-man tag team match with Hank and Tank, that being Hank Walker, Tank Ledger, and Josh Briggs, defeating the Culling and Brooks Jensen, Nico Vance, and Sean Spears, with Izzy Dame in their corner via pinfall in 9 minutes and 26 seconds.
Well, the one thing about this, it threw me off, and this is not a slight by any means, but Briggs's partner when he went to Noah came off excursion, if I'm not mistaken. So now he entered the match.
Yep.
And I honestly forgot about it.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, who is this guy? And then I was like, once they mentioned his name, I was like, oh.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So I get it for that aspect. But I mean, I thought that
There's a little too much going on.
Yeah, I mean, it was just kind of a busy match, I would say. But I mean, I'm not mad about it. No. I thought it was a fun match for what it needs to be. Hank and Tank had just not sold me yet, but that's me.
It's still early.
It's still early, but like I say, I trust what Chef Shawn Michaels is doing down there in NXT, so I'm not mad about it.
Next up was a match that certainly tore at your heartstrings, and that was Channing Stacks. Lorenzo defeated Tony D'Angelo via pinfall in 15 minutes and 14 seconds.
I need a moment on this one.
In the arms of an angel. In the arms.
This is brutal. This was.
I figured you wouldn't like this match.
You know, the best TNA gimmick that's not in TNA was torn apart.
It's TNA adjacent.
Yeah, which the only thing I was waiting for is Stack to say he was a Fed.
Ha!
I was waiting on that, but it did not happen because this was the emotional storyline that they wanted to do. I mean, granted, the whole thing with Tony D'Angelo's family is just funny. Amazing.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, remember, somebody beat a murder case by winning a match. Okay,
that's true.
Let us never forget that.
So somebody call up Law and Order.
Yeah.
I got an episode idea.
So, but this one, I fully believe now Tony D'Angelo's coming to the main roster.
Probably.
And listen, I'm not mad about it. I never thought I'd say this because honestly, I always thought when he first debuted in NXT when it was 2.0 and the tie-dye color logo, I never saw it in him.
Yeah.
But he's had time to develop. He's very solid. He's a fun character. I don't know how that's going to go in on the main roster, though. That's my only fear for him.
Yeah.
But this was a natural storyline end for him. So.
I think the character can work if you maybe put a little bit of a Sopranos, spice to it. I'm not saying go full Tony Soprano and start offing guys. No. But if you take it a little more seriously than they've done on NXT, I think to a degree it could work.
You'd have to pair him with he needs a big muscle enforcer.
Yeah.
And you need to pair him with a tag team. You need to give him a new family up there.
Sure.
I don't know who you do, to be honest with you.
Sure.
I really don't, so I can't even suggest. But if they do something like that, maybe it could work. But I think he'll have a decent run up there and Triple H would know how to push him too.
Oh, absolutely. So. Absolutely. Next up was a singles match for the NXT Women's Championship, and you had Stephanie Vaquer defeat Jordan Grace via pinfall in 16 minutes and 7 seconds to retain her Women's Championship.
Okay, so 2 things. One, great match.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, take my money now.
Yeah.
Both of these women absolutely tore the house down. However, though, I don't like it that we already hit the reset on Tuesday.
Yeah.
With JC Jane winning the title from Vaquer.
Well, I think that's just because Vaquer's main roster bound, a la Julia.
I would say
you got to remember, Vaquer, for the better part of a month, has been pulling double duty between NXT and Monday Night Raw.
Right, which, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But
I think it's a case of they wanted to let her develop a little bit more down on NXT. But I think they saw how well she was received at the Royal Rumble. Let's face it.
Oh, sure.
She got the biggest pop of the night in the Women's Royal Rumble. Tell me otherwise. And I think they look at the pops she got on Monday Night Raw, which weren't necessarily in wrestling heavy towns. It wasn't like she was in Philly and got a pop in Philly. But all right, well, hey, it's Philly. Let's understand. I think they saw just how popular she is on the main roster and listen, let's strike while the iron's hot now.
Well, you can do that, but I guess here would be my thing.
Okay.
You can already have this match with Grace. If you need to run it back at a later date, whatever you can.
Sure.
I would have done the title switch there. It's nothing against JC Jane, but okay, that was a super shock.
Sure.
But where has she been in this title contention? And like now you write off Vakir if she's going to the main roster, but she kind of has to have a rematch down there.
Yeah.
So
Could be your last match in NXT.
It's a weird thing.
It could be the typical last match.
Well, it could be, but I can't see it. Like for some reason, I just thought it was kind of an odd booking in that sense.
Sure.
I'm not mad about it. I'm not even mad about Jane getting the title because I think that out of the whole Toxic Attraction squad, she had a lot of potential to really have that breakout moment.
Oh, yeah.
And I never thought she got it. And so I'm glad to see that she is now. Albeit though the Fatal Influence, I think is the new faction name.
Yes.
Like I'm not really sure what they're doing there per se, but
we'll
listen, I'm just happy she got the title, so I'm cool with that.
Let Chef Michaels cook.
Oh, of course. I'm not, like I said, I'm not mad about it.
Next up is a singles match for the NXT Championship, and you had Obafemi defend his belt against Miles Bourne, winning via pinfall in 16 minutes and 49 seconds.
This went the way I thought it was going to go.
Yeah.
I wasn't super shocked. I know a lot of people are high on Miles Bourne. Jury's still out for me at this stage.
I think a lot of people are high on Miles Bourne just because of who he's allegedly dating.
Well, that, but I've also, and maybe because he looks at this stage like a young Randy Orton.
I've seen the comparisons, yeah.
Right. So, I mean, it's not to say he's not going to be great someday. He's not going to be world champion someday.
Right.
You're asking me right now in this moment of time, what did I think? And in this moment of time, I don't see it yet.
He's got potential.
He's got potential, but I just don't think it was there yet.
No.
Great match with Oba, but then Oba does great work with most people.
Oba could put on a match with a wet paper bag and it would get 9 stars.
Oh, completely.
Doesn't have to be in the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah. So, like that said, I mean, it just goes to show how good Oba is. And now I know they're setting up now the feud with Miles and the rest of No Quarter Catch crew. They want, if he wins, he's out and like X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
Which is kind of weird, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait to see how it plays out. But I thought just for the match, it was solid. But I mean, for the hype it got, I mean, it was kind of a left field pick for me.
Sure.
But it's not to say, I wanted to stress this, it's not to say that 6 months from now,
right,
a year from now,
right,
I'm not going to see something else and have a different opinion.
Right. And then we get to the main event of the evening, which was a singles match for the TNA World Championship. And you had Trick Williams defeat Joe Hendry, winning via pinfall to become your new TNA World Champion in 14 minutes and 58 seconds.
Mark the tape. This was the right call.
Absolutely. Gosh darn lutely.
I know that I'm one of the biggest Joe Hendry fans you're going to find.
Probably.
This was the right call to do. If you're going to truly do the Forbidden Door, you need to have a title switch.
Mm-hmm.
You can't keep doing this where everybody comes over and it's an automatic loss.
Yep.
Trick getting the belt here does a couple things. Mm-hmm. One, elevates him because he's a former NXT champion.
Yeah.
He adds a little something to that TNT or TNA title.
Yep.
He can go around there.
Oh, yeah.
It gives him a good program because, let's face it, at this stage, what else is he going to do in NXT?
Right.
So you can send him over there. He'll defend every week. It's not going to be like when the AEW pairing worked.
Right.
And let's face it, it was not exactly beneficial.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's my opinion.
To say the least.
I think it's more beneficial now to send Joe or Trick over there and let him do some cool matches there. He got fresh opponents he can do with
right.
They're going to do some cool stuff there.
Well, and we do know because NXT aired last night that Trick Williams is going to have a belt against Mike Santana from TNA.
Love this
on NXT this upcoming week. Let's get it honest, folks. That match is not ending in a pinfall one way or the other. There's going to be some sort of shenanigans that cause the end of that match, because where I think this is ultimately going to lead to is this is going to lead to Mike Santana getting the belt, be it from Trick Williams, or if Joe Hendry somehow in between now and then gets the belt back, dropping the belt to Santana at TNA Slammiversary in July. I'm
all right with that. I think Mike Santana has been vastly overlooked.
Mike Santana was on a WWE program in 2025. 2025 is real weird.
It's weird, but listen, more power to him because he's put in the work. He came back to AEW after that long time off, didn't really have anything for him, got out, went to TNA, been building his name up there. He grinds. He does fantastic stuff. I got to see him here when he wrestled in Excite for a quick cup of coffee for their They were housing a TNA show.
Oh yeah. It was
way
the
back.
TNA pay per view they did.
Yeah. He's been phenomenal then. He's phenomenal now. So like, listen, I'm all for it. If they want to give him the belt, do it. Slammiversary would be a hell of a time to do it. He's over with the crowd big.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Yeah. And then it's all building to Worlds Collide, which is taking place in June 7th, and that card's already stacked.
Oh, that card is.
We got 4 matches. I'm already sold.
Yeah, I mean, the one is a match of the year. Forget about it.
So you got Legardo. You got a 6-man tag match. Legardo, Del Fantasma. So that's Santos Escobar, Angel, and Berto taking on El Hijo, Dr. Wagner Jr., Pagano, and Psycho Clown. You've got the singles match for the AAA Mega Championship with Chad Gable taking on El Hijo del Vikingo.
Yeah, which, listen, I don't care that they spoiled the ending of what's happening with Alberto Del Patron. I don't care.
Don't care.
Do not care.
You've got a tag team match with Stephanie Vaquer and Lola Vice taking on Chick, Tormenta, and Dallas. Spoiler alert, Lola Vice is turning on Stephanie Vaquer in that match.
Yep.
And then, this match. Fatal 4-way for the NXT North American Championship. Ethan Page defending his belt against Javon Evans, Laredo Kid, and Ray Phoenix.
Don't blink.
Oh my God.
Don't blink.
This card's going to be incredible.
It's going to be insane, but this is what you should be doing when you do super cards.
Uh-huh.
Like, take note, companies.
I'm sitting there looking at this card going, I don't even have to think about watching this card. I'm looking at this card going, when does it start?
3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then, like I say, it kicks off a big weekend. Too.
Yeah.
Like I said, with Money in the Bank,
Money
too.
in the Bank, too, yeah.
There's going to be a lot of wrestling, which, listen, is not a bad thing when it's good. Mm-hmm. So, a lot of things to be excited about. I know that they've just announced about Evolution 2 is taking place.
Uh-huh.
Saturday night's main event, so down in Atlanta.
It's the day after, so it's Saturday night's main event, and then Sunday's Evolution 2.
Listen, big buckets to win, folks. It's time to get. If you're not into wrestling now, I don't know what to tell you, because it's some of the best stuff going on right now in any Fed you're turning into. So, that said, Pad, I think that covers us for wrestling the week.
I think so.
So for anything else we might have forgotten, obviously Wrestling Night Live, go hit them up, and obviously we'll catch up on the social medias, because we're going to tell you, use the hashtag ODPH pod. Give us your reactions to what's going on from the fallout of Saturday night's main event and NXT TakeOver Battleground. There's so much going on in the world of pro wrestling. We definitely want to talk to you about it, so let's talk about it, shall we? We're going to get our last break out of the way, and we're going to come right back.
This is Tom from Tom Joe Lou,
This is Matt from Sidemen Sounds.
and you're listening to ODPH Podcast.
Wanna go where no one knows my name, to the desert, the oceans, or the plains. 'Cause I wanna.
Coming back for the final segment on this supersized edition of the ODPH podcast. Pad, what you got?
Got a couple things to talk about. I'm going to start with some sports, and we're going to start with the local minute and looking at the standings for AA baseball, where our Binghamton Rumble Ponies play in the Eastern League. Another week, still in first place.
Let's ride.
A little bit of a bigger lead this week. Binghamton Rumble Ponies sitting in first place with a record of 28-17. They are 3 games ahead of the Portland Sea Dogs, the Boston Red Sox affiliate, 5 games ahead of the Hartford Yard Goats, that is the Colorado Rockies affiliate, 6.5 games ahead of the Somerset Patriots, that is the New York Yankees affiliate, 10.5 games against the Reading Fightin' Phils, that is the Phillies affiliate. Hey, kudos to Reading. You got out of last place.
Hey, now.
And then 11 games ahead of the New Hampshire Fisher Cats, that is the Toronto Blue Jays affiliate. Looking at their schedule from this past week, because boy, did they ever have a week.
Yeah.
Folks, in case you don't live here in the Northeast, it was a little wet last week. It rained like every day, it felt like. Needless to say, in the game series, the Binghamton Rumble Ponies played against the Richmond Flying Squirrels. They put the tarp on the field 15 times.
Jesus.
I didn't count that. The Rumble Ponies did. But looking at their schedule from this past week, they had their game on Tuesday. They won that by the final score of 4-1. The game on Wednesday was suspended, played at another date. The game on Thursday didn't even happen, was postponed and made up on Sunday as part of a doubleheader. So Friday they played a doubleheader. The first game was a part of the game that was suspended on Wednesday. They won that game 5-4. They played the regularly scheduled game in game 2. That was a 6-1 loss. Came back Saturday, won that one by a final score of 3-2. And then they had the doubleheader Sunday, as I alluded to. Won the first game 2-1, and then won the second game 4-2. They got a road trip this week as we record. They're playing Chesapeake. They had their game on Tuesday. They won that game by the final score of 4-1. They are in Chesapeake again for a doubleheader. They're off today as we record, playing a doubleheader on Thursday. First game is at 5:05. Game 2 is a makeup from looks like they were supposed to play that today, but hey, surprise, surprise, got postponed. It was a makeup of that one. The game on Friday is at 7:05 p.m. Eastern. Then you got the game on Saturday, which is at 6:35 p.m. Eastern. And then they have the game on Sunday at 1:05 p.m. Eastern. Then they return home Tuesday, June 3rd for a 6-game series against the Somerset Patriots.
Oh boy.
A little bit of AA minor league Subway Series action.
Subway Series.
We'll see how it goes. Then turning to pro sports, got to take a moment and congratulate the Liverpool FC Football Club. They did win the Premier League. Should note they celebrated on the field with fans in attendance for the first time in 35 years.
That was wild.
Which, hey, they did win it 5 years ago, but as we all begrudgingly remember 5 years ago, COVID, no fans in attendance, so they didn't technically celebrate with anybody. So, hey, kudos to them. And we do want to send our well wishes, thoughts, and support to the fans that were at the parade the next day. Unfortunately, someone decided to drive into the crowd there, and there were some injuries. As we record, nobody has died.
Yes.
There were 60-something folks that were injured, some of them kids. All but, I think, less than 10 now, I think was the last number I heard, have been checked and released. There are a couple that are still in critical condition, but they're doing okay. Nobody has died, but we do want to send our well wishes, thoughts, and supports to those folks.
Absolutely.
Then we're going to talk a little bit of entertainment news. We did find out today when the next Pokemon release date is. So this is Pokemon Legends Z through A. The pre-order, I'll tell you right now, pre-order is going up on the Nintendo eShop and My Nintendo Store on Thursday, June 5th. Excuse me, just the Nintendo eShop. That is going to begin. Pre-orders are going to begin Thursday, June 5th. Game releases Thursday, October 16th, 2025. So mark your calendars, put in the necessary days off if you are a huge fan of those games. I know my wife will at some point be playing that game, and I can't wait to watch it.
Pretty sure Sammy is from Nerd Initiative as well.
Sammy's taking the whole week off. Let's be real.
I could imagine she's going into.
Then in unfortunate video game news, the Black Panther video game that was being developed by Electronic Arts has been shut down, and the studio that was making it has been closed.
Ooh.
So reading from an article on Variety.com, it says, quote, a video game based on Disney and Marvel's Black Panther has been scrapped at publisher Electronic Arts as part of the closure of the game's developer, Cliffhanger Games. As a result of EA shuttering Cliffhanger, multiple employees have been laid off at both that studio and across EA's mobile and central teams. Variety has confirmed that the number of staffers cut is less than the 300 that EA let go last month when it canceled its next planned Titanfall game, and the company is working to place these individuals with other teams throughout EA. In an email sent to staff Wednesday, EA Entertainment President Laura Meal said these moves were made to, quote, sharpen our focus and put our creative energy behind the most significant growth opportunities, close quote. The cuts come as EA chief Andrew Wilson has made it clear the company's priority is its biggest franchises, including EA Sports, The Sims, Battlefield, and Apex Legends, and upcoming game Skate rather than making licensed games. Quote, these decisions are hard, Emil said. They affect people we've worked with, learned from, and shared real moments with. We're doing everything we can to support them, including finding opportunities within EA where we've had success helping people land in new roles, close quote. So, unfortunate news, but the game never got much further, at least to my knowledge, than, hey, we're making this thing.
Yeah, it was just kind of mentioned, really.
So the only thing I can kind of chalk this up, because I know some people are throwing out some wild speculation and wild rumors. The only thing I can kind of chalk this up to is what might have happened. Again, this is all speculation. This is all rumor. I haven't read anything.
Allegedly.
Yeah, nobody's told me anything. The only thing I can figure is that the game hit a point where there were going to be some massive delays, like a couple year delays, and it was just going to be too financially costly for EA to continue to make the game. Yeah. And they figured, you know what? Rather than sink more money into this and we might not get anything out of this, let's just cut our losses where we're at. So unfortunate news, but that's how these things go sometimes.
Yeah, like I say, we've heard about it forever, but we haven't really seen anything about it since.
Yeah,
so, I mean, they kind of tipped the hand. There was going to be some issues.
Yeah,
but
it got announced. There was never a trailer. There was never really anything. So unfortunate. Not so unfortunate news, especially for me. We got a release date for the upcoming 17th season of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. 17 years.
That's wild.
17 seasons. I know. The 17th season will be launching at 9 p.m. Eastern and Pacific on FXX, and episodes will be streaming the next day on Hulu. The new season's also be coming to Disney Plus internationally. But the release date, July 9th, Wednesday night, and this season will have the second part of the Abbott Elementary crossover. Man, I cannot wait for this new season. I miss these degenerates in my life. Let's be real.
Yes, this is true. You do.
I love this show. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. All the episodes are on Hulu if you're here in the States. Also on, I think that's on Disney Plus as well.
Yes.
Then in the news that, boy, they couldn't have done this 30 minutes earlier last week because literally got done finishing the episode, left. I got home, looked at my phone and saw this news got announced. And I sent this to you going, are you bleeping serious?
Yep.
We got more casting news for the upcoming Hunger Games Sunrise on the Reaping film, which, hey, listen, I'm a fan. That's why I'm bringing this up. But also the casting is rather huge.
It's kind of a big one.
Kind of a big deal. And that is playing the young Caesar Flickerman, who was played by Stanley Tucci in the previous films. Playing this version, none other than Oscar and Emmy Award winner Kieran Culkin.
That's big.
Holy smokes. Yeah, so surprised to say the least. But this cast is getting more and more stacked.
Well, I mean, they want to really load it up, and obviously getting Culkin is a huge move. Can't fault that one bit.
Not at all.
So before we get into comic picks, there was a bit of news that shook up the internet, surprisingly, and it's very polarizing, to put it mildly. But it has been announced, reading the fine press release from our good friends over at Marvel Comics, they're so kind to send it to us. Announced via Entertainment Weekly, so the article was first there. Marvel's Merc with a Mouth meets DC's Dark Knight this September in Marvel DC's Deadpool Batman #1. This is the first of two crossovers between Marvel and DC in more than 20 years in the making. Produced by Marvel, Deadpool/Batman will be followed by Batman/Deadpool, produced by DC, on sale this November. So Deadpool Batman will be written by prolific Spider-Man comics writer and co-writer for Marvel Studios' Deadpool and Wolverine, Zeb Wells, and drawn by industry superstar Greg Capullo, end quote. So I'm showing Pad the cover.
The cover's nice.
Cover is great.
It's Greg Capullo.
Yeah, you can't mess that up. So that is going to be on sale September 17th. Pad, your reaction before I get to the DC one?
So on the surface for the whole thing, I'm excited for the prospect of it just because I was not into comics. I read some comics, but I wasn't actively collecting them and reading them when they last did this. So for this to be happening at a point where I'm invested and I'm interested, super excited. As for Zeb Wells writing, not a fan of that. I reviewed most of his run for Spider-Man on Nerd Initiative. I'll just say this. If you're a fan of Nightwing and Babs, be afraid. Be very afraid. If you know, you know. If you don't, hit me up on social media. I'll tell you why you should be afraid. I'm not a fan of Zeb Wells' writing. I'm not a fan of him being the writer on this, but as I've said before, I'm willing to give this a shot, and I'm willing to give this, an opportunity. But am I amped up and going, yeah, this is going to be the greatest thing ever? No.
Are you alluding that Paul will break up Nightwing and Babs?
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep. Yep.
Oh my God. I'm sorry I spoiled that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Paul's going to be DC canon. Calling it now.
Oh my God. I mean, maybe Deadpool will wipe him out the first issue.
Listen, we can only get so lucky. I mean, listen, for those of you who don't know, Zeb Wells was a part of the run they did in Spider-Man where they killed off Ms. Marvel.
Yeah.
and it was told to Zeb Wells. It was this was what was reported. We don't
We'll put
actually
the allegedly.
Allegedly, we don't know what was actually, but it was allegedly told to Zeb Wells that he shouldn't make the convention circuit when that issue was coming out because the reception was less than stellar.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Wells is a polarizing author. Mm-hmm. And like Pat alluded to, there is plenty of people that were not fans of his run of Amazing Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. Listen, we're not going to sugarcoat it by any stretch of imagination. We both were not fans of the run.
Nope.
So him coming over to do Batman Deadpool, I mean, listen, I hope he proves me wrong.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to be picking this issue up. There's no way I'm not going to.
Oh, yeah. Agreed.
And the fact that he co-wrote
Sure.
Deadpool Wolverine is a good sign he can write Deadpool. Mm-hmm. So listen, I'm not going to argue that. I don't know what to expect with this issue.
Yeah, I don't either. It's an interesting pairing, I'll say that.
It's a very interesting pairing, but then again, to flip it to the DC side of things, their pairing is even more strange, in my opinion. Because the writer of that book is going to be Grant Morrison.
Which, okay, yeah, makes sense.
Listen, he's written Batman before. I will admit,
makes sense.
I was not the biggest fan of his run there.
Sure.
Albeit, though, it's not in the same level of like me not liking what Zeb did with Spider-Man. I want to stress this.
Sure.
But then again, you have Dan Mora drawing it, so it's Dan Mora.
Yeah.
I will read anything Dan Mora draws. Enough said. So I'm interested to see how this plays out. But then again, I am also not the biggest Deadpool fan in the world. I will listen, I'll be honest. I don't mind the character. I think he's kind of grown out of the superhero realm, per se, with how pop culture has taken him. So it's tough for me to get into a story involving him. So I'm waiting to see what they do here. But I'm going to say the big win for us as fans is Marvel and DC are willing to play ball again.
Yeah.
And it's been far too long since we've had it done. Mm-hmm. So I am more excited about that aspect, that it can open up more doors.
Yeah.
I can't tell you who I'd want to see crossover at this point.
Sure.
I'm just kind of more shocked that the door is now swung open, like the real forbidden door.
Yeah.
Because it's like they allude to, it's been over 20 years.
Yeah, I think this. I don't think we'll see a lot of the same pairings we saw before.
No, I don't think so.
Why retread the same path?
I think I will say this. If I have to put a lock on it, we will not, and I repeat, not see a Marvel versus DC.
No.
I think that the concept was cool when they did it, but when you put that much into the fan vote, things got weird.
Yeah.
Things got really weird.
Yeah.
But I would say they will open up some doors. Like I say, the news is kind of a little still new to me that I can't give like I want to see this pairing up here. I will say I would be excited for some creators rather,
sure,
that are on DC exclusive,
sure,
to get a crack at some Marvel characters.
Sure.
Like I would not mind seeing what Tom Taylor could do with Wolverine.
Let me throw this one out there just because totally random popped in my head. John Constantine and Thanos.
I mean, that's random. That's
why the hell not?
I mean, that is a very random one. I mean, for me, there's got to be something like a real crazy one out there that I just like.
Sure.
I said, I can't think of, because I know which one I would want to see, but at the same point, I don't want to see it, and I don't want to say it on air. I'll tell you off air. But
okay.
Yeah, like I said, there's one that it should be a no-brainer, but I don't know how they would pull this off. But then again, if I can have Mark Waid doing an Avengers story,
yeah,
I'm all in, and I'm just going to put it out about that. So anyway, that's going to be something to look for at the comic shops. That will be one of the biggest books of the year.
Yeah.
Like, listen, love it or hate it, people are going to...
That book's going to do numbers.
They're going to do numbers for both, and that's good for everybody, because, you know, if you can do more kicking in the door like this, that opens up. And then, obviously, you got to figure there's going to be a Spider-Man book involved.
Probably.
But, obviously, there's one out this week, so we got to start talking about that. Because, Pat, what you picking up?
Picking up Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 17 by Jonathan Hickman, and you've got David Messina on the artwork. This issue, oh boy, not as action-packed as previous issues are, but still packs a punch when you read it, because this is an issue. Obviously, we have what happened in the previous issue with Harry Osborn. He was alive, and he was dead. Now he's alive again. We had the whole plot twist with, oh my God, his wife Gwen Stacy is Mysterio. And that whole thing, this is a bit of fallout from that, continuation of that. Peter doesn't factor all that much into the issue this week. He does show up, but he's not the main focus. This issue, though, oh boy. It's setting up some stuff. It definitely feels like one of those, turning the corner when you're walking down the street where things ain't going to be the same after this. You can tell that things are kind of pulling and kind of tension is building. Wilson Fisk does show up to remind you, hey, I'm still around. That not a whole lot happens, but I feel like that's just a nice little nudge, a little, hey, he's still around. Don't forget this guy. But it's very interesting reading. Very highly recommend you go pick this one up.
Yeah, no, I mean, Ultimate Spider-Man might be Marvel's best book.
Easily.
I mean, it's in that competition.
It's up there with Ultimates.
It's up there with Ultimates, definitely, without question. All right, for me, a smaller list, but is impactful. Like, this week was crazy, and there's such great books out. Like, we're taking everybody down with us. Number 3 is out. That's amazing. One Assorted Crisis Events, number 3 is out too from Image Comics. Both are amazing. You'll Do Bad Things, number 3. Like I say, it's been a wild week. Like I say, trying to do reviews for all these.
Yeah.
Not happening, but this is why we have a bullpen here at Nerd Initiative, and nobody does it like them. But very quickly, Comixology Originals, The Adventures of Ulysses Monarch with a friend of ours, Mr. Mark Guggenheim, writing. So this is the continuation of the action-adventure sci-fi epic he's doing where Ulysses Monarch is going around trying to get artifacts from the past in 3026, and obviously that's causing a lot of problems. This issue, very, very solid. Doing a little building, a very shock ending too, as they're kind of expanding this universe out, so definitely one to check out. Comixology Originals, don't sleep on it, folks. You definitely don't want to. Over at DC Comics, though, John Jones, Martian Manhunter, absolute Martian Manhunter, should we say. Dennis Camp, Javier Rodriguez, one of the best books out, without question. Like I say, everything they're doing with this has been absolutely top shelf and top level. So I cannot stress it enough. If you don't have this book in your collection, I don't know what you're doing, and it is such a fresh take on, what the character of John Jones is. Mm-hmm. And to see where they're going and redefining the mythos has just been insane. And this one, like I say, does not miss the mark.
No.
Might be my favorite Absolute title. And that's up there with Absolute Batman. So just putting it out there. Also, Skybound Entertainment, Image Comics, G.I. Joe number 7. So this is the fallout, per se, of the Cobra Commander Duke showdown they had. But they take it in a different route because they introduced Night Force.
Oh, okay.
So we see a lot of Beachhead, who we know from, he's just in the Silent Missions saga that was going on there. But this is Energon Universe, so we see his debut here. And, oh, man, there's a lot of stuff happening in this one. But like I said, I love this series. I think it's one of the best ones out. And then over at Energon Universe, yet again, Void Rivals 19. So this is a solo spotlight on Scuzoid.
Okay.
From the Transformers universe. So you get a lot of background on this character. Standalone issue. So is Robert Kirkman. Connor Hughes is on the art for this one. So you definitely want to check that out. Obviously, Energon Universe doing big things. Also, DC Comics, Pat, I'm showing you the cover.
Yo.
Superman 26. So this is Joshua Williamson, and 3 artists are on this book too.
Oh, wow.
Sean Ezekis, Eddie Barrow, and Iber Ferreira.
Okay.
So apologies if I messed up anybody's names, but this is one that they're dealing with the fallout that happened last issue. Lois Lane is depowered, Lex Luthor is back in jail, and bad things are happening in Metropolis. So insane issue. Love how they're setting this up. This is tying back to everything Williamson has been doing since the beginning of his run, so you definitely want to check that out. The penultimate chapter in the We Are Yesterday crossover happening between Batman, Superman, World's Finest, and Justice League Unlimited is in place. So Justice League Unlimited number 7, this is Mark Waid and Travis Moore. And this is one that, like I say, if you like your classic superhero stories, Mark Waid does not miss. And a lot of moving parts here. We're having the big showdown that they've been building. A lot of setup. Like I say, it's a fun story, and I've been digging everything about it. Last but certainly not least, and this is one that I will say has gotten the most polarizing reaction out of me.
Okay.
And a lot of people online, Batman Hush 2.
Oh, yeah.
So the latest chapter, number 160, this is by Jeff Loeb and art by Jim Lee. I'm going to be honest, and maybe this is going to sound like a weird take, Pat. I don't know.
Okay.
I am so lost on whatever they're trying to do here.
Oh, boy.
Like, the art is on point.
Okay.
And I love the art. Jim Lee does no wrong in my eyes. I have no idea where Jeff Loeb is going with the story.
Which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing.
There's quite a few confusing parts
Okay.
in this. One is involving the Riddler.
Oh boy.
who they've redesigned and looks very 90s-esque in
Yeah,
this. I
okay.
will say, like, if I have to fault Jim Lee on one thing, I'm not a fan of the redesign.
Okay.
But what they're doing is to kind of, I'm obviously not going to spoil the issue, but I will say Batman has been protecting the Joker since he was attacked by Hush.
Right.
There was a conflict involving Jason Todd
Oh Lord.
and Batman.
Oh boy.
And how Jason Todd is written in this, I find fault with.
Oh, okay.
And especially when you find out more of how his involvement with this story,
Right.
I find more fault with. And then we get to the ending of this issue where, like, listen, there's a couple cool parts involving what Hush has done for a few characters. I think is okay, this is kind of an interesting take. But the ending is so left field. I'm like, wait, what? And then you have this amazing final page, and I literally just sat there and went, the hell just happened here?
Yeah.
Like I'm so taken out of it because I'm so confused about what happened prior. So I know we've had some friends of the show, like shout out to our guy Chris from Bada Boom Podcast, has done some videos on this and been like, the story is just what? I'm tending to believe it.
Yeah.
I'm still sticking with it because I love Jim Lee's art.
Sure.
But I'm hoping one thing happens here, and if it does in the last issue, I will personally come on the show and I'll say I was wrong about the story.
Okay.
So we'll have to wait and see. But that has been our picks for this. But if you want more reviews, Nerd Initiative has you covered. I want to say we hit 40 this week for reviews between video and written. So nobody's doing new comic book day like Nerd Initiative. Nobody. And I can go into more details about it, but I'm not going to. So that's why you got to go click it on here. But that's why you go to ODPHpodcast.com first, because we have the link right there. It'll take you right to the page you need to go to. And for anything else that I might have forgotten, it's ODPHpodcast.com, because that's it for this week. So for the one and only Padawan J,
Fuck the Astros.
I'm your host, Ken. Thank you as always for listening to the ODPH Podcast. We'll see you next time.
It's such waste of time swiping left and swiping right on people you could know. Cause anyone who's worth a damn be worth way more than a picture could ever show. You could find the right light, find the right angle, and never find your soul. And it can feel like a losing battle, and this plot is full of holes. This modern way of finding love just makes me feel so alone. And I can't be the only one sick of staring at my phone. So look up, talk to me, a better way to spend our energy. Just look up, talk to me. We don't have to float alone on the open sea. Don't know that I believe in the old time fable. Everyone has just one true love. All I know is you're across this table, and you're all I'm thinking of. So look up, talk to me, a better way to spend our energy. Just look up, talk to me. We don't have to float alone on the open sea. Talk to me. Talk to me. It's such waste of time swiping left and swiping right on people you could know. Whoa.